Women are going on dating apps for attention. Women are doing on average, like 6,000 swipes to the left before they go on one date. 6,000 per one date. Let people do whatever they want to do. It's just when women don't want to take accountability for the fact that, like, again, if I took steroids for 20 years, then all of a sudden, like, hey, Michael, just want to let you know, like, you're having trouble with your liver. Well, you know, it's my fault. I took steroids for 20 years. Yep. But if you do the same thing to a woman, is be like, hey, you've gotten a little overweight and it's actually causing you to not be able to carry a pregnancy to term. No, it's men's fault. No, it's not. It's your fault. You didn't pay attention to biology. For everything, if you want to do things, like, again, if you want to hoe it up when you're in your early 20s and you want to film with multiple men on your fucking OnlyFans, but you're making a grip, you're making a ton of money and you're investing in real estate, you're going to have a ton of money. But later on, when a quality man that you're looking for wants to fuck you but not date you, don't blame men. And that's the problem. Like, these women just do not grasp this concept. And the other thing is, like, for men, and men are becoming more intelligent when it comes to this. I've had a debate on this with Jamie Lynn and the guy who owns the studio, John Orlando. And I'm sorry, like, the data is very clear on this. The more sexual partners a woman has before she's married, the more likely she is to cheat and the more likely she is to divorce you. That is just a fact. It doesn't mean it's a 100% correlation, but it's a 70, 80% correlation.
Yeah, then versus the person that's only dated one person their entire life.
But like, if a woman's been with more than 20 partners, she has like a 17% chance of staying in a marriage. And I'm listening to women actually tell me there's no correlation between multiple sexual partners and getting divorced. And I'm like, okay, if you have a sales guy and this sales guy's had like, say, 5 or 6 jobs, and he's constantly getting offers on LinkedIn for new jobs, and you're like talking shit to him, and he's like, I know I could get another job in 15 seconds. Yeah. He's more likely to leave.
It's the same thing.
How does that make sense? But yet a woman having multiple sexual partners filing for divorce doesn't make sense. I don't understand. You're just not using logic. It's obvious that's the case. And you might say, well, what about men being more likely to leave because they had multiple sexual partners? Well, guess what? Who's filing for divorce? 80% of divorces are being filed by women. Men aren't leaving marriages, period. So them having multiple sexual partners is not the issue. Now, everything I said, I can back up with data. Everything I said, I can back up with data.
To your point, would you say that there's a correlation with the woman that is on these online apps, Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, because she's going on way more dates and she's more considered a serial dater, that she's more likely to move on as soon as shit hits the fan?
So she's actually not a serial dater. You should read this. I recommend everyone read it. It'll take you 2 hours to get through it. It's called The Book of Numbers by Aaron Clary. Women are going on dating apps for attention. Women are doing on average, like 6,000 swipes to the left before they go on one date. 6,000 per one day. Now, obviously, you're going to have a girl who's going through some sort of like trauma, or she's a nymphomaniac, or she's been, something's happened where she just like wants to fuck a different dude every day. We're talking like 3%, 1% of the population.
So you're saying if a girl swipes on you, you're like one of a lot of men that she actually swiped on and wants to talk to.
So just the swipe. Yeah. The top 20% of men are getting 63% of the right swipes. The top 10% of men are getting 63% of the right swipes. The top 20% of men are getting 83% of the right swipes, which means the bottom 80% of men are competing with 17% of women. 17%. Like, it's a disaster for men. It's so unequal. So the reality is, now once she swipes, what's the likelihood of her going on a date with you? And then once she does that, what's the likelihood of her having sex with you? I have a friend of mine. He's one of my sales guys, and he's got 6-pack abs. He's gorgeous. And he's like, yeah, I have 7 dates a week. I could have 14 dates a week. For guys that are in that category of, like, it's called the top 4.5%. There's a 4.5% of men that women actually pursue because of their physical attractiveness or whatever. There's 20% of men that women find attractive. And then there's 80% of men that women find unattractive. And so from that standpoint, if you just base it on physical attractiveness, you're just not doing well. And what you'll find is on these dating apps, women are not actually going on there to date. They're going out there because they get validation and admiration, and they get OnlyFans subscribers. That's why they're doing it. So Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge, you're going to find that there's a few guys that are getting all the dates and a ton of women that are going on 1 or 2. Well, generally what happens whenever there's a new dating app that comes out, there's a few months where there's a bunch of girls that jump on it because they think it's different. They all get by Brock the bartender, who doesn't call them back. They all end up just having, like, they then think they found their boyfriend having meaningless sex with some fucking shortstop for the Padres who never calls them back again. And then afterwards they're like, fuck this dating app. And then they get off it. And by the time you get to the 2 or 3 year period, it's just nothing but women with borderline personality disorder or have 4 kids. That's all that's left on those apps. It's just nothing but morbidly overweight women, or if they're attractive, they're either prostitutes or girls trying to get you on. I think dating apps are disastrous.
I agree. And quite frankly, I prefer organic.
I prefer Instagram's 10 times better.
Instagram's for a guy that has an audience or a decent Instagram, that is the way to do it. Yeah. And even when I meet girls out and about now, like, let's say I meet someone at the gym, And and it's very nonchalant. I never approach girls at the gym, but let's say I've been there a couple months. We both know of each other. I'm working out next to them. I might say, hey, my name's so-and-so. I just want to introduce myself. I see you around. We'll chat a little bit. And then I'll say, hey, let's connect sometime. Are you on social?
Yeah.
Connect on Instagram. And then the best way to set it up is, hey, we should grab a drink sometime if you're open to it. One of two things happen. Either say, hey, no, I'm not interested. I have a boyfriend, whatever. Great. It's nonchalant. Or two, they be, yeah, I'd love to. And then cool, you're in the door, and it's just such a better way to set up, because now they get to check you out on Instagram, they get to check you out on social, versus going online and having to compete with all these thousands of guys that are swiping,
I would take it one step further. I would actually have all those girls, collect them, and then invite them to some massive event that you go to that you're in charge of, and then let them all get to see you in contextually like a position of power or high status. And doing that, then what happens is a bunch of let's just say 20% of the girls were going to say yes and 80% weren't going to say no. If 100 of those girls then go to your event that you're running or that's for you, all of a sudden that number comes to 40 or 50% of the women would say yes. Because the thing is, like, when women look at men, there's just attributes in a man they just don't know. Is this man going to sexually assault me? Is this man going to be terrible in bed? Is this man going to be cruel to me? Is he poor? Like, there's all these things.
Having a good social media presence with females and that sort of thing, that will help. That will shut a lot of that out.
Yeah. So when you show on your social media that there's compliance from other women on your social media, that actually makes women feel far more comfortable around you. Now, if you do it too much like me, you'll have women come out and say, yeah, I don't like that. You look like a boy, right before they sleep with you.
I dated a girl recently that, because all the except for Parker, all the people on my team are female.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are attractive.
Yeah.
And I dated a girl recently who was very intimidated by it. The reason I didn't know while I was dating her, but I knew after the fact, was every time I invited her out to like a function with my team members, she would always bail last minute. And it'd always be a different excuse. Oh, I don't feel good, whatever it is. And I found out after the fact that she was just a jealous woman.
Yeah. So one of the things, though, is that like your attraction is still 10 out of 10. Like, she's still very attracted to you, even if she's considering it. If you just did a few things to like increase comfort, she would go out with you. This idea that women just like, when multiple women like a man, this idea that women are just like not attracted to them is total fucking cap. It is not true. It's something that women say to cope with the fact that they feel jealous or they're losing control. What you'll notice generally, and by the way, men are the same way. Generally, when you're doing something that garners you more control, so like you become better looking, get in better shape, get more followers on social media, get six-pack, abs, whatever. When you do those things, you're going to notice women become a little bit more They start to complain a little bit more. They start to try to pull, oh, no, let's stay at home and watch Netflix. Why are you hanging out with these people, et cetera, et cetera. When you do things that gain control, you're going to notice women have a problem with it. When you do things where you give up control, like the dad bod is one of the greatest examples of this. Women saying they like the dad bod. The dad bod is utter and complete lunacy. This idea that women are attracted to men who are fat is stupidity. But what they do like is that where dad bod comes from is when a woman gets pregnant, men also, when they're partnered with a woman, will have increased prolactin levels and they'll put on weight and they look like Seth Rogen or Vince Vaughn or Elon Musk, and you see them pasty and fat or whatever. And women, what's happening is women are like, oh, he's not going to cheat on me because he's fat now and he's going to stick around.
So it gives her comfort.
Right. So it gives her comfort.